Welcome. I am Asa Lanham, the Chief Executive Officer of Innovaro, and this is part 5 in our series on innovation for executives, and we'll be looking at incubation. If you recall, we introduced what we referred to as the 4 I's: ideation, incubation, investigation, and implementation in our previous videos. And in this session, what we really want to do is take a look at the incubation phase of that and what that means and what we're doing during this time. Remember that we started things in the ideation phase. We set things in motion, and from there, we got the ideas. And in incubation, part of what we're trying to do is to create an environment to really bring these ideas to full fruit, to blossom, to the whole ball of wax, right? And in this, we need to create an environment that lets people really take time. Now, you can't really assign people to an incubator. Putting them in one, putting them in it permanently, is traditionally does not work. But you can take people aside, let them be in one for a while. And if you're going to do that, you ought to have someone that helps facilitate, to help them work on these ideas. Just putting them in an incubator and leaving them there on their own is not really going to work for you, right? Now, what are some of the aids you get to incubation? Well, I know of at least one of the toy companies and a couple of other companies that have visual ideas catalogs. And these are just ideas. You can just go look at them, things that have come before, things from other companies. I know at least one of the toy companies has literally warehouses full of previous toys, competitor toys, things that their people that are working on ideas and incubation can go look at and put together. And certainly prototypes that people can tinker with. Tinkering is a very important part of this. What you see here is actually one of the things from Bosch. And they were looking at what can I do to put the power tools that we've always known, and the supplies with other things. And this is a prototype that was built for a cork remover for wine, a cordless cork remover, and a number of different types of that nature. And those are really important. Then the last thing you do is we have to wait. You can't rush the incubation process. Certainly you can set limits on how long you're going to let it go. I mean, you're not going to wait years for something to incubate, although you may find things that do take that long, but you're not going to wait for them, right? And part of what's going to happen during this process is we're going to move from idea, small idea, to a bigger idea. And we do that through a number of processes. One of those is called stretching, and this is really all about the discussion. It says, hey, look, I heard your idea. What if we put this with it, or if we did this? If it's paint, could it be just interior paint or exterior paint, or can it be floor paint? Can it be wall paint? Can I paint the floor in my garage? All of those kinds of things to stretch that idea. Then to elaborate it, to give me more information, to talk more about it. You said it's paint. Well, is it, what kind of paint are you thinking about? Is it latex paint? Is it lacquer based? Is it, the kind that's got colors built into it? Can I tint it? All the kinds of things that help to give more information about what this idea is all about. And then synthesis, where somebody says, hey, look, if you're talking about paint and you're talking about putting paint on garage floors, garage floors with paint on them can get slick. Maybe what we ought to do is look at something, to put some grit in it and do that. Or maybe we have some type of a special, it already comes in a spray that you can just spray it right on. What are all the ideas that bring these together? And we've used paint as an example. It could be something like, the condiments bar at your local burger joint, right? One thing I will tell you here is that when you're talking about collaboration, which is a lot of this is all about people talking, email is not the answer. You really need a tool that helps you collaborate around ideas, to have discussions that are focused. Sometimes, if you're trying to wade through all the email that comes in your inbox in a day, and there's that one thing in there about the thing you're working on and you miss it, then it's not a good thing. So once we get to the idea, then what we really want to do is go to platforms. And platforms are something that are much larger than a single idea. And let me walk you through an example here, because that's one of the easiest ways to understand what a platform is all about. And so, what you see here is an AM radio, and that was, goes way back in time in terms of when the first AM radios came around. And then we evolved from the AM radio into the AM and the FM radio. And this happens to be a shot of a Ford Mustang, I think in 1965, where you had both AM and FM, and you could slide that bar back and forth to determine which channel you were on, right? And then we moved from, not just that, from analogs, we moved into digital radios, right? And the ability to tune more precisely, the ability to do all of those kinds of things, and the use of bandwidth. And then we brought in CD players, right? CD players came in and said, hey, we can play the CDs that we've had in our houses, in our cars. Now, some of us are old enough to remember when they actually had record players in cars where you could play, like 45 RPM records. Now, of course, you couldn't really drive really well while you were doing this, or the needle went everywhere and the sound got really crazy. But CD players, were an important step forward. And then MP3 players, so we could mix and match our own music that we were listening to and bring that and stick it into the player in our car and listen to our own selections in there in the order we wanted them to be. And then the next step, of course, was satellite radio. And of course, back in the early days of satellite, you had both XM and you had Sirius, and you had the battle over who was going to do that. And that's pretty well over with them merging today. But satellite radio is an important part of that, and it actually changed how cars were built, changed the receivers on them for a lot of reasons. But you'll also note there's a tape player in here. We didn't really talk about tapes, but for those of you that have stacks of those 8-track tapes at home, you're in a dying breed. Right? And then we had our iPods, and iPods were kind of an extension of the MP3 player. We had a way to carry around all our MP3s on our own playing device. We didn't have to put a USB in, but we wanted to be able to plug that in to our stereo and be able to play those. And then we brought in the car phone. And, probably a number of you had car phones like this in your car, and they were great. We used them. Maybe not as dangerously as people use their car phones today, but we certainly used them a lot. I know my family got tired of riding in the car with me because I was always on the phone with my people. And then because we wanted to go more hands-free, we integrated the car phone with the speakerphone. And God, what a great thing that was. You didn't have to reach over, pick up the handset, hold it. You could answer the phone and talk to people right there in your car with the speaker. Of course, you got the opportunity to share that call with everybody else in the car, but that was a different issue. Right? And then we added DVD players, the next logical step up. We went from CDs to DVDs. DVDs had much richer media on them, and all these kinds of things, and the ability to do those things and to take those on the road with us. It expanded that with video screens. Now, what you see here is a video screen built into the back of a headrest, and there's a player behind it. And I know of at least one family who has homes in Canada and in Florida, and they travel between the two by car with their children on occasion, and they stop in at one of the local red boxes, buy a bunch of DVDs, or license them, I should say, rent them, play them along the way and drop them off, and it helps to keep their kids from causing trouble, and you don't get that, don't make me stop this car very much anymore. So DVD players and video screens were important parts of that. And then we also added in video cameras. If you've got all these screens, it'd be nice to see, what's behind you, how you're backing up, and all those kinds of things. So the video camera became an integral part of it. And I'm sure some of you have actually seen them now where you automatically switch into reverse and a small video screen pops up in your rear view mirror tied to the camera there. GPS, GPS, important in terms of tracking and where we're going, and built into that, and particularly if you got that video screen that does that, and the ability to input those with DVDs or CDs to update them and update your maps, it's a great thing. And then Bluetooth, and Bluetooth let us then have the ability to use that phone in the car without having to have a speakerphone and still be hands-free. And not only that, but if we wanted to just carry our regular phone with us and do it, we could kind of cut the car out of the loop. But Bluetooth was built in, but it also was good for playing from your own devices. And finally, cars that are actually Wi-Fi. I mean, these are cars that are hotspots. They're actually, they've got Wi-Fi built in. They connect whenever they can. They're tied into national services and that. So you're a complete Wi-Fi unit while you're driving down the road. When you combine all of these ideas, what you really come up with is an in-car entertainment and a media system, right? And when you think of this as a platform, this is a platform that I could put a whole variety of things in. I could have an entry-level platform for in-car entertainment and media that's got maybe a few things in it. Mid-range, I can add some more luxury. Not only can I have the top of the line have everything in it, but I can have high-definition screens, and I can have large bandwidth devices, all kinds of things, and premium sound systems inside a car. So we combined that from idea to platform and become in-car entertainment media systems. But if we take that one more step, you really move from a platform to a business concept. And a business concept is all about a mobility lifestyle. And certainly in-car entertainment and media is part of that. But there's everything that we do in our cars because we spend so much time on them that if we've got electric cars, we're looking for, how can I charge them and where can I charge them and where's the smart grid? And can I do car sharing, right? Can I do parking? Some of the areas have parking where you can basically rent someone's driveway. You're going to an event, you find out parking at the event's expensive or it's already full, and you can go online from your car and say, who's got a driveway I can rent that I can park my car in to go to this event? And then certainly from infotainment, what's going on? I've gone to a new city. What's available? What's going on? And traffic. So it's really a mobility lifestyle that's all about the how we live and how we interact with the world around us when we're in our cars. So business concept is the high value concept in here that we eventually aspire to attain. How do we do that? Well, we talked about collaboration, about discussing ideas, and combining and stretching them. Now you have to be cautious here, right? Because gathering support for an idea as it grows, you can tend to water it down. Seeking a broader approval often implies a compromise, or as someone said, a camel is a horse designed by a committee. And you're trying to get your idea through to grow to become something that's important, that's valuable to the organization, right? One of the things people do is to rank ideas. This is number one, this is number two. It would have been tough to have, the FM radio without the AM radio, and, you don't really need speakers without something that you're going to play through and all those kinds of things. So there's a rank of ideas in terms of what has to happen and how it gets delivered. We weight them. Which of these are more important? This one's got a higher rank, but it doesn't have nearly the impact that this other idea has. So when I take a look at the scope of the value proposition within a platform or a business concept, an idea that may be ranked lower has much more impact. And last but not least, voting. Voting is a very common technique that's used during the incubation process to say, we like this. This is one of our favorites. So that's really all I want to say to you about incubation. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll look forward to talking with you in the next session. Goodbye.